Hello and how's it going, everyone? It is Skullzi here with the latest Bethesda news, rumors, and speculation, and today I want to dig up what is perhaps one of the most known, yet least appreciated and understood confirmed pieces of information involving Starfield. This was actually one of the first confirmed pieces of gameplay and lore information that we ever received for this game, and it came from none other than Space Commander Todd Supernova Howard himself. I decided to revisit this statement and do a little bit of extra research into what this could mean for Starfield, and I feel like I have a very interesting theory based on this confirmed information that could give us a better understanding as to what is going on in this universe and even on Earth during the time period when Starfield takes place, which is confirmed now to be hundreds of years in the future and be based on how our very own real-life technology right now could evolve and improve during that period of time. First off, what is this Todd Howard quote? Again, it's something most of you may already know about, so don't click away when you hear it, because I guarantee you I'll be telling you something you haven't heard before based on this quote, and I haven't seen anyone else come to this conclusion based off of this statement yet, so I feel like this is new territory to share with you all, and the statement in question comes from Todd during that legendary meme-worthy interview with friend Elon Musk. There are a lot of interesting or even humorous things that I could point out or break down that took place during this interview, but I'd rather focus on this particular statement from Todd Howard in which he says the following while on the topic of Starfield. They only spoke about Starfield for really a brief moment in this thing. I mean, most of it was Todd Howard talking about his Tesla, Elon Musk talking about how he wants to do various things with anime girls, and yeah, this was an interesting conversation, but unfortunately, the majority of Starfield information in this is overshadowed by just the meme quality of this, and I would love to see more of this. Put Todd Howard and Elon on stage again. I just need more episodes of this new Netflix comedy series, but either way, this is what Todd Howard says in this Elon Musk and Todd Howard and Jeff Keighley interview that I want to break down. Todd Howard says Starfield is obviously a game, but it's still a game that has authenticity. Okay, this could happen in real life, for instance, so we could put that in the game, he says. He says they talked about what kind of fuel the ships could use, and with realism and possibility still in mind, they decided to use helium-3, which Todd Howard believes they can debate is a very good power source for spaceships. Todd also says they talked about how physics would work in space, gravity and those kinds of things, and they do indeed have to gamify it some, so it's not like as punishing as actual space travel, but Todd Howard says that space travel in Starfield is similar to how like flying a plane was in the 40s at the early beginning of flight, and it was dangerous, exciting, and a new adventure for mankind. So, helium-3. People seem to have focused on the helium-3 aspect of this, and while focusing on helium-3, they ignored a very big part of helium-3. They focused on the spaceflight portion of this statement while ignoring the underlying hidden information behind the words. Yes, this entire statement at a glance does seem to indicate space travel is indeed in the game, which is obvious seeing how it's a space game, but the majority of the Bethesda community still can't all agree on whether or not this game will actually allow us as the player to pilot our own ships and actually fly our ship around in space and land on planets like No Man's Sky or Elite Dangerous. So naturally, with that being the main topic of discourse for so long regarding Starfield, this Todd Howard statement no doubt fell into that very same discussion, becoming a quote more on the possible space travel side of things rather than being a window into the Starfield universe, a window that Todd Howard opened up with this very statement, and a window that, when viewed through, can give us perhaps the most unique and interesting perspective into the world of Starfield yet, one that also so happens to perfectly align with other statements from Todd Howard regarding this game as well, and even the recently released Starfield concept art. And that window is actually helium-3. There is a lot more than meets the eye when it comes to this statement, and it all revolves around helium-3. The fact that Todd Howard told us spaceships in Starfield are using helium-3 is a lot more information than may meets the eye. The fact that helium-3 is so common and prevalent in Starfield and its universe, commonplace enough that the main propulsion system for space travel involves helium-3, gives us a direct indication into the state of both the Earth and the entirety of mankind in the game's universe. But in order to understand understand what Helium-3 actually means for Starfield's universe, let's do a quick breakdown of what Helium-3 actually is, and how impactful this technology can truly be. First off, Helium-3, in terms of theoretical future space exploration, is directly linked to fusion rockets. And for those of you who aren't rocket scientists, which neither am I, this is what a fusion rocket actually is. A fusion rocket is a theoretical design for a rocket driven by fusion propulsion that could provide efficient and sustained acceleration in space without the need to carry a large fuel capacity. The design requires fusion power technology beyond current capabilities and much larger and complex rockets. Fusion nuclear pulse propulsion is one approach to using nuclear fusion energy to provide propulsion, and fusion's main advantage is its very high specific impulse, while its main disadvantage is the likely large mass of the reactor, meaning a spaceship would probably have to have a pretty big reactor unless technology is a lot more advanced in terms of fusion rockets by the time of Starfield. A fusion rocket may also produce far less radiation than a fission rocket, reducing the shielding mass needed. And the surest way of building a fusion rocket is to use hydrogen bombs as proposed in Project Orion. But such a spacecraft would be massive, and the Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty prohibits the use of such bombs or even experimenting with such technology. So for that reason, space bomb-based rockets would likely be limited to obviously operating in space, and an alternative approach would use electrical ion propulsion with electric power generated by fusion instead of direct thrust. So Todd Howard's Helium-3 statement clearly indicates that fusion rockets are the main propulsion system for spacecraft in Starfield. This is proven even further by the fact that in the same statement, Todd Howard specifically says he wants the technology and science in the game to make sense and mostly still be possible in the future. And as he has said in other interviews as well, Starfield technology is a direct evolution and advancement from space technology used right now, and fusion technology is definitely an experimental form of energy now that is actively seeing use in many different tests, applications, and experiments. Recent articles in the science and technology sector even state that fusion power is a lot closer than we may think and could actively be used to power entire cities by 2040. And while that may not have anything to do with space travel, powering cities and stuff like that, it does set the stage for what Earth is probably like within Starfield. If fusion rockets are truly commonplace in this game's universe, that would mean fusion power would have to be in use elsewhere as well, such as the Earth and possibly other planets or colonies. And if that is the case, that indicates something very unique and quite big about humanity and technology within Starfield. Mankind may very well be taking the first steps leading them to becoming a utopian society, and I say this because if fusion power is the prime energy source for basically everything in the game, from ships to power grids to coffee machines and everything else, then that would mean mankind is using an energy source that is extremely efficient and extremely clean. This is the power source that Samuel Hayden from Doom wishes he discovered, something that Doom Guy probably wouldn't have destroyed. And also, no demons either, so that's always a plus. Fusion power is extremely useful and so efficient that spaceships theoretically don't even need to carry much of it on board for even long-range space flights. So it seems like in Starfield, chances are very high that there is no energy crisis at all. If fusion power is perfected or even just utilized in a moderate efficient way, it would mean huge things for mankind. No oil or energy wars, no worrying about running out of natural resources used to provide power, basically a lot less problems. And with this new increase in potential power and efficiency, that would only further open the doors for mankind to take the next step, which is exploring space. If Earth has substantial resources and energy, it's no surprise that space travel is entering a new epoch within Starfield, and it seems like our player may very well be part of this adventure, this new age of space exploration. As Todd has said, he compared spaceflight in Starfield to flying airplanes in the 40s. It's dangerous, it's adventurous, and it's a new craze. That means that something would have had to spark that availability and interest for spaceflight and exploration. Something had to happen to focus and shift attention to space and open the doors for that to be possible within Starfield, and I believe that something is actually fusion technology. I believe fusion technology is that exact thing. But wait, there's more! Fusion technology is also a very green energy source. Fusion doesn't emit harmful toxins like carbon dioxide or other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, and its major byproduct is actually helium, an inert, non-toxic gas. Fusion doesn't produce any long-lived radioactive waste. Nuclear fusion reactors produce no high-activity nuclear waste at all, and even the waste product helium itself could be collected and utilized in other applications. This would mean that Earth could very well have stopped global warming, major pollution and could have cleaned up most problems and pollution and stuff from the industrial age, and Earth could almost very well be a paradise. But just because mankind potentially solved the energy crisis doesn't mean that everything is all perfect. Mankind is, after all, still mankind, the egotistical, power-hungry, and often reckless, flawed beings we have always been, and I highly doubt that will change much in Starfield, especially because obviously it's confirmed there are space pirates, so I mean, clearly stuff is still going on. Sure, all evidence points towards Earth potentially being in a much better state within Starfield than we may have originally thought, but I'm sure there's still a ton of problems, like political rivalries, factions vying for power and territory in space, nations probably still having wars over stupid things on the planet as well, even resource wars of a different variety, because as the doors to space travel are fully open to us within Starfield's universe, so too is the possibility of discovering new and even more rare elements or strategic metals or resources, for example, in space, stuff we had no idea existed, and these discoveries of new and powerful resources, elements, and metals and stuff very well would no doubt spark resource wars in space and battles between factions and other nations even here on Earth. And I feel like that'll be something we'll definitely be witnessing within Starfield as well. There will no doubt have to be some kind of conflict in the game after all, right? It just can't be all perfect little fusion rainbows, and I personally believe that this unique backdrop of mankind feeling like they have solved a major issue only to discover conflict of another variety amongst the stars would be quite interesting, especially if Bethesda tosses in some alien with even higher level technology that we couldn't even begin to comprehend or understand. That kind of alien. Toss that alien to us, Bethesda. Do that burrito meme toss. Here is mankind, feeling like they have reached a new pinnacle of space exploration and science. Meanwhile, here comes alien boys with portals and things we couldn't even begin to comprehend. And all this stems from one statement from Todd Howard about Helium-3. A statement that was mostly misunderstood by the community as they focused on what it meant for controlled player spaceflight rather than what it could indicate towards Starfield's setting, and personally I feel like we got a lot more information about Starfield's setting from the statement than anything else, and I am kind of surprised nobody else has brought this up yet. I haven't seen any other Starfield videos on this topic, and if there was a post somewhere about it on Reddit or something, it unfortunately didn't get enough traction to get picked up by the majority of the community. Even the recent Starfield concept art seems to show some locations as being almost utopian-like, locations where buildings from your very dreams dot the planet's horizon, where what seems to be colorful lights of celebration dimming the surrounding darkness, a future where mankind can truly embrace the stars and begin the next great adventure into Starfield, while forgetting about most of the worries and problems of the past, but also opening the door to problems of the future, which could be a lot larger than problems of the past. And that is exactly where I believe us as the player will enter the scene in Starfield, looking to make our own mark amongst the cosmos, amongst the stars, looking for the same thing as everyone else in Constellation: adventure, wonder, answers to life's greatest questions, and maybe even more questions that we couldn't even begin to expect or understand. And that is where I will leave you and end today's video. As always, what I want to know is, what do you think about my theory? What do you think about all of this down in the comments below? Be sure to let me know down in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoy the content and if you're hyped for Starfield, be sure to give the video a thumbs up and a like, and make sure you're still subscribed. Subscribe if you're not already, and be sure to check that you're still subscribed, because the YouTube algorithm apparently is possessed and keeps unsubscribing people, as they are telling me in the comments they never unsubscribed, but YouTube decided for them that they should be. So make sure you're still subscribed, please. And if you want to go above and beyond to support the channel and the community, head over to Ko-fi, Patreon, or here on YouTube as an exclusive channel member to unlock video shoutouts and awards. Links to all this and more are down in the description below, and as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when Todd Howard in space.
It just works.